Hello class, welcome to Connected. Today we will read a lesson called The Journey to the West. By the end of this session, you will be able to read the lesson, answer questions based on the lesson and revise your knowledge of comparative phrases. You will also understand the concept of prefixes or suffixes and learn about countable nouns. Traveling is an activity that has always fascinated us. Tales about great journeys are met with great awe and applause. Our very own example shall be the Dandi March, which was carried out by Mahatma Gandhi. There have been other travelers around the world who have made such voyages. We are going to read about one of its classics today. The Journey to the West is the story of a traveler named Yuan Chuang. He traveled to our own country, that is India. The lesson is a historical account of Chuang's journey. It involves both real and fictional characters. Now it must be surprising to learn given that the title reads Journey to the West. But don't be confused. Yuan belonged to China and to China we are West. So children, the voyage we are going to discuss was done in the early 7th century. As you can imagine, traveling was not easy back then. The travelers had to face tough terrains and long distances. Yuan Chuang had a huge challenge in front of him. Riding on horseback, he had to cross deserts and mountains. He was endangered by bandits and robbers also. But Yuan was determined. He had a dream to take Buddhist scriptures from India to his homeland China. So he believed he was making a pilgrimage. Students, can you guess how much time it took him to reach India? Close enough, class. He traveled for 17 long years. He faced many challenges and difficulties on the way, but he did not give up and kept on going. He traveled through the Gobi Desert, the Tian Shan Mountains and the Silk Road. So he visited many countries like Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan and Pakistan along the way before arriving to India. In India, he gathered many important manuscripts and took them back to China. The way back was not easy too, but Chuang was determined and he made it back to his home country with the manuscripts. Class, can you imagine how the Chinese had reacted to Chuang's return? Yes, children. All the people were very happy to see Chuang come home. The return of Yuan to the land of China sparked huge celebrations as no one had believed that he would return safely. His return was so surprising that people started to believe he was helped by supernatural powers along his pilgrimage. That is what inspired the epic The Journey to the West. It contains many folk tales and stories which describe Yuan's journey. Stories say that when Yuan set off to the Holy Land of India, many demons were following him. They wanted to gobble him up, but due to the holy nature of his journey and the good cause that he wanted to dedicate this journey to the Guardian deity, the goddess of mercy decided to offer him protection from the demons. From vanquishing the demons, she assigned 3 special people: Sun Wukong or the Monkey King, Su Petsy or Pixie, and Sha Wujing or Sand Priest. Even though Sun Wukong or the Monkey King, Su Petsy or Pixie, and Sha Wujing or Sand Priest were disciples of the deity, but they are known to be notorious. They had used their special powers to create trouble. Hence, the gods decided to cast them out of heaven. So, they were offered terms that if they help Yuan on his holy journey and use their powers in the correct manner, they may get to return to heaven. This was the reason the 3 disciples agreed to help the traveler. Who do you think would have been the most powerful of the 3 disciples, class? Nice try. The most powerful of the 3 disciples was the Monkey King. There was nothing ordinary about him. He was born out of an egg on the flower fruit mountain. He could transform himself into 72 different forms. Each of his hair strands could take form of any living or non-living thing. He also had an as-you-wish coat-banded cudgel. He could grow enormously and, if need be, become tiny at will. He had many supernatural powers. He could cover a great deal of distance in a single somersault, walk through fire, travel in the water, become hard like a diamond, and look at things with his X-ray vision. Having all of these powers made the Monkey King a trickster. He liked to trick other gods. He used his power to point at a lock and unlock it. He grew huge and got tiny in a matter of seconds. Facing all of this, his enemies had a hard time dealing with him. With this, we come to the end of the lesson. Did you find it interesting? Great! Dear students, now that we have read and understood the lesson, let us solve some questions based on the chapter to test our knowledge. Let's see if we can accomplish this task in 5 minutes. Why has India been called the West? What was Chuang's dream? When did Chuang's journey take place? What were the challenges faced by Chuang in his journey? Name the countries that Chuang visited during his journey. How did the people of China react to Chuang's return? Name the 3 disciples of Goddess Mercy. What was extraordinary about the Monkey King? Name some supernatural powers of the Monkey King. Identify the real and fictional, not real characters from the lesson. Excellent answer, student. Now match your answer with this answer sheet. Yuan Shuang belonged to China, and to China, India is in the west. Thus, Chuang's journey was towards the west. Chuang had a dream to take Buddhist scriptures from India to his homeland China. Chuang's voyage was done in the early 7th century. It lasted for about 17 years. Chuang faced many challenges and difficulties on the way. He had to face tough terrains and long distances. Riding on horseback, he had to cross deserts and mountains. He was endangered by bandits and robbers also. Chuang visited many countries like Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan and Pakistan along the way before arriving to India. The return of Yuan to the land of China sparked huge celebrations as no one had believed that he would return safely. His return was so surprising that people started to believe he was helped by supernatural powers along his pilgrimage. Sun Wukong or the Monkey King, Su Petsy or Pixie and Sha Wujing or Sand Priest were disciples of the Goddess of Mercy assigned the task of protecting Chuang. The Monkey King was not ordinary. He was born out of an egg on the Flower Fruit Mountain. He could transform himself into 72 different forms. Each of his hair strands could take form of any living or non-living thing. He also had an as-you-wish gold-banded cudgel. He could grow enormously and, if need be, become tiny. The Monkey King had many supernatural powers. He could cover a great deal of distance in a single somersault, walk through fire, travel underwater, become hard like a diamond, and look at things with his X-ray vision. The only real character in the lesson is Yuan Chuang. The fictional characters of the lesson were the three disciples Sun Wukong or the Monkey King, Su Petsy or Pixie, and Sha Wujing or Sand Priest. Moving on class, our next exercise is a fun one. You have to tell whether the following statements are true or false. Try to do this task in less than 2 minutes. Your time starts now. The novel Journey to the West is about a journey to the western countries like England and America. In the days of Yuan Chuang, traveling from China to India was not an easy task. Yuan Chuang traveled to many parts of India. Yuan Chuang's way back home was relatively easy. Gods and supernatural powers had helped Yuan Chuang in his quest. The three disciples sent to help Yuan Chuang were three saints. The three disciples had supernatural powers. You all did a great job. Now let us match our answers with the answer sheet. The novel Journey to the West is about the journey to the western countries like England and America. False. In the days of Yuan Chuang, traveling from China to India was not an easy task. True. Yuan Chuang traveled to many parts of India. False. Yuan Chuang's way back home was relatively easy. False. Gods and supernatural powers had helped Yuan Chuang in his quest. False. The three disciples sent to help Yuan Chuang were three saints. False. The three disciples had supernatural powers. True. Students, now that we have finished the chapter, would you like to brush up on your grammar? Alright then, let us revise your knowledge of comparative phrases. Can you complete these phrases taking hint from the given example? Try to do this task in 2 minutes. As big as a pillar, as tiny as a needle. As big as a, as tiny as a, as hard as a, as soft as a, as sweet as sharp as a. Excellent attempt, class. Here are some sample comparative phrases, but remember that you can find other pairs as well. After all, in English language, you can have multiple correct answers as long as you have understood the concept correctly. Do show the sentences which you have written on your own to your teacher, who will then correct them for you. So, the sample comparative phrases are as big as a dinosaur, as tiny as a needle, as hard as a stone, as soft as a candy, as sweet as a sugar, as sharp as a nail. Moving on now, class, let us learn about prefixes and suffixes. You know that many times a letter or group of letters is added before or after a verb to make new words. Prefixes are letters or group of letters that are added before a word to change its meaning. Suffixes are letters or group of letters joined at the end of the word to transform its meaning. The word in which a prefix or suffix is added is called the root word. Can you find examples of prefixes and suffixes in the lesson? Good attempt, children. Now let me point out. In the lesson, the following words have prefixes and suffixes. Undertook, under plus took. Unbelievable, un plus believable. Supernatural, super plus natural. Seventh, seven plus th. Horseback, horse plus back. Homeland, home plus land. Now class, let us do an exercise of prefixes and suffixes. Are you ready? Excellent! Your task is to write the opposites of the following words. Remember that the addition of prefixes also inverts the meaning of the root word. So, the root word and the prefixed words can be called opposites. Use this concept to complete this task in less than 2 minutes. Excellent class. Now let us have a look at the answer sheet to verify your answers. Unsafe, safe. Unimportant, important. Uninteresting, interesting. Unknown, known. Unkind, kind. Unintelligent, intelligent. Now we shall move on to the last section of today's session. Shall we move on, class? Alright then, let us now understand the concept of countable nouns. As you children, some things, animals, etc., that is, some common nouns can be counted. They are called countable nouns. In other words, the nouns that show things that can be counted are known as countable nouns. Similarly, some noun stands for something that cannot be counted. They are called uncountable nouns. Countable nouns have two forms, singular and plural. Can you find 5 countable nouns from the flowchart? Write their singular and plural forms. Also, list the units which are used to measure: water, milk, distance, weight. So that's it for today, class. Thank you, and I hope you all had a fun learning experience.